It's a sobering truth. Certain individuals in our lives seem to thrive on sowing discord and inflicting harm. Take a moment to reflect. You may have shared vulnerable moments with someone, offered them your trust, only to later realize they were the very source of your distress. Today, we're delving into a subject as captivating as it is unsettling, learning to recognize the subtle yet unmistakable signs that you're dealing with a malevolent person. Whether it's a coworker, a close companion, or even a relative, such individuals often excel at masking their true intentions behind a veil of charm and likability. But this exploration goes beyond mere curiosity. Understanding these warning signs has the potential to transform your life. The Stoics believed in sharpening our perception and grounding our lives in reason and virtue. By learning to detect these toxic patterns, we can safeguard our inner peace and foster healthier, more authentic connections, all while remaining loyal to the Stoic ideals of wisdom and self-mastery. Stay with us as we reveal 5 clear indicators of a truly harmful personality. By the end of this video, you'll not only be able to spot these behaviors with greater clarity, but you'll also walk away with practical tools to defend your mental and emotional well-being. And if you value the insights we're sharing, a small but meaningful gesture you can make is to subscribe to the channel. Please, don't skip ahead, especially not the bonus segment at the end, where I'll share an effective technique for setting strong, non-negotiable boundaries with people like this. Let's begin this journey toward greater awareness and emotional resilience together. Number 1. Disarmingly charming at first glance. When we speak of individuals who radiate charm and charisma, it's essential to remember, appearances can mislead. These people often have an uncanny ability to enchant a room, making everyone around them feel seen, heard, even special. They seem to know precisely how to make you feel like you've discovered a kindred spirit. On the surface, they appear witty, magnetic, and genuinely engaged. It's easy to get drawn in, believing you've stumbled upon someone exceptional. But the Stoics urge us to see beyond the allure, to examine reality through reason and measured observation. Over time, subtle inconsistencies may begin to emerge. Perhaps they constantly seek the spotlight, monopolizing attention in every social setting. They may interrupt others, speak over them, or deliver backhanded compliments masked as humor. These aren't harmless quirks or signs of extroversion. They are early warning signs. The Stoic path encourages us to notice such behaviors with a calm, discerning mind, unswayed by initial charm. Picture a social gathering where this person is the undeniable center of attention, cracking jokes, entertaining effortlessly. At first, it feels invigorating to be in their orbit, but gradually it becomes clear. They steer every conversation back to themselves. When you try to share something meaningful, they quickly shift the spotlight back. This is where the Stoic concept of apatheia, emotional equanimity, becomes vital. Maintaining inner balance allows us to pierce through the surface and perceive the underlying self-centeredness. Watch closely how they respond when faced with adversity or denied what they want. A genuinely compassionate person navigates disappointments with grace and composure. In contrast, someone who merely performs kindness for manipulation might erupt in anger or defensiveness. They may attempt to twist the narrative, reclaiming control through guilt or blame. According to Stoic teachings, such behavior exposes a deep absence of virtue, Marcus Aurelius warned against those who habitually display rage and deceit. These are not the hallmarks of a rational, virtuous soul. The key is patience and observation. The Stoics cautioned against hasty judgments based on fleeting impressions. Epictetus advised that we scrutinize the character of those we admit into our inner lives. So if someone seems too flawless, too perfect, too soon, step back. Watch how they treat others, especially when there's nothing to gain. Real character is revealed not in grand performances, but in quiet moments when no one is watching. Remember, not all charm is sincere. For some, it's merely a means of manipulation. By staying grounded, mindful, and perceptive, you can avoid falling prey to a polished exterior. Uphold Stoic values, wisdom, clarity, and restraint, and you'll move through life with greater clarity in your relationships. Number 2, a striking lack of empathy. Another deeply concerning trait to be aware of is a blatant absence of empathy. Empathy, the capacity to genuinely feel and understand the emotions of others, is what binds us as humans. It's what enables us to comfort those in pain, celebrate with those in joy, and form meaningful, lasting relationships. But some individuals seem entirely devoid of this fundamental quality. They appear indifferent to how their actions or words affect others, and the damage they cause can be profound. The Stoics viewed compassion and understanding as essential expressions of virtue. Marcus Aurelius spoke often of humanity's interconnectedness, the idea that caring for others is inextricably tied to caring for ourselves. So when someone exhibits a cold disregard for other people's emotions, it is more than troubling. It's a sign of a fractured moral compass. Imagine opening up to someone about something deeply personal, hoping for understanding. Instead, they mock your vulnerability or minimize your feelings altogether. This kind of response doesn't just hurt, it isolates. It leaves you feeling unseen and alone. But it goes further. It's not just their absence in difficult times that signals a lack of empathy. They may also fail to acknowledge your victories or even resent them. Such individuals may downplay your achievements, subtly undermine your success, or worse, attempt to claim the credit themselves. And this behavior isn't limited to friends or loved ones. Picture a manager who drives their team to exhaustion, disregarding personal limits and showing no interest in employee well-being. They may demand relentless hours without fair recognition, deny reasonable time off, or berate staff in public settings meant more to shame than to teach. This cultivates a hostile, fear-driven environment where people feel worthless and exploited. In these situations, the Stoics would advise maintaining inner composure and a commitment to virtue. Recognize that others' lack of empathy reflects on their character, not yours. But there's more. The absence of empathy can escalate to overt cruelty. Those who cannot connect to others emotionally may lie, deceive, or even inflict harm without remorse. Seneca, the Stoic moralist, emphasized the necessity of justice and kindness, insisting that our behavior must reflect our deepest virtues. Someone who lacks empathy stands in direct opposition to those ideals, and often the signs emerge in the smallest of daily interactions. You may notice someone constantly redirecting conversations to themselves, showing disinterest in others' stories, or ignoring people in obvious distress. These subtle cues, when observed with clarity and intention, reveal the truth. And the Stoics remind us it is through patient awareness that we learn who is truly worth our trust and who we must keep at a distance. These may initially appear as trivial irritations, yet over time they accumulate into a recognizable pattern, one that hints at a more profound issue beneath the surface. The Stoics would urge us to remain perceptive and discerning, understanding that these subtle cues often unveil a person's genuine nature. If you're regularly interacting with someone who shows a persistent lack of empathy, it's essential to establish clear boundaries to safeguard your mental and emotional equilibrium. The Stoic philosophers placed great emphasis on preserving our inner stability and not allowing external negativity to disturb our serenity. You are fully entitled to distance yourself from those who sap your energy and diminish your spirit. 3. Manipulation. A defining trait of a malevolent individual is manipulation, the art of using deception and calculated influence to bend others to their will. This behavior often operates beneath the surface, elusive and insidious, causing lasting harm to those ensnared by it. Manipulators are adept at distorting reality, leaving you questioning your own judgment and slowly eroding your confidence. From the Stoic point of view, manipulation represents a direct assault on reason and clarity. The Stoics championed lucid thought and an unflinching grasp of reality. They taught that our interpretations should be rooted in truth and that we must hold firm to our principles, regardless of outside influence. A manipulator, by contrast, seeks to cloud perception and unsettle that internal steadiness, making it increasingly difficult to remain aligned with Stoic ideals. One particularly pernicious form of manipulation is gaslighting, where the perpetrator attempts to undermine your sense of reality. They may outright deny events ever occurred or twist your words and actions until you begin to doubt your own memories. Imagine confronting a friend about something painful they said. Rather than acknowledge the hurt, they might deflect, accusing you of being too sensitive or of misremembering. Such tactics slowly dismantle your self-assurance, leaving you dependent on their version of events. Manipulators often assume the role of the victim, using guilt as a tool to coerce compliance. You might know someone who constantly shares their hardships, expecting you to drop everything to assist, yet they never reciprocate. They might say, "If you really cared about me, you'd do this," placing the burden of their happiness on your shoulders. Stoic philosopher Epictetus emphasized that while we cannot govern others' behavior or feelings, we do have complete control over our own responses. That clarity is essential when facing manipulative tactics. Another tactic is flattery wielded as a weapon. At first, their praise might feel uplifting, making you feel valued. But soon, you may detect an ulterior motive. Compliments used as currency to extract favors or compliance. You begin to feel indebted, obligated to maintain their approval. The Stoics would caution us against tying our self-worth to such fleeting external validation. True virtue, they taught, comes from within. Manipulation can also manifest through social isolation. A manipulative individual might attempt to sever your ties with friends and family, whispering that they don't truly care about you, or only I understand you. This calculated alienation deepens your dependence and weakens your support system. The Stoics saw human connection and community as vital to a well-lived life. Isolation, therefore, directly contradicts their teachings, making us more vulnerable and less grounded. Financial manipulation is another common tool in a manipulator's arsenal. They may borrow money and never return it, or seek to dominate your financial autonomy altogether. For instance, a partner might control all monetary decisions, requiring you to ask permission for basic expenses. Such control strips away independence and traps individuals in cycles of dependence and powerlessness. From a Stoic perspective, autonomy and self-reliance are fundamental. We should strive to free ourselves from undue influence, including financial control, so we can live with integrity and clarity. Recognizing manipulation can be difficult, especially when the manipulator is someone we care about. But the Stoics teach us to view situations with discernment and to act with courage and honesty. If you suspect manipulation, pause and evaluate. Are they consistently putting their needs ahead of yours? Do they leave you feeling uncertain, ashamed, or confused? Do they isolate you or try to control your decisions? Set firm and respectful boundaries. Communicate your limits clearly and assertively. You are entitled to your own thoughts, emotions, and choices. The Stoics remind us that while others' actions lie beyond our control, our response remains fully within our domain. By guarding our mental clarity and inner resilience, we can resist the toxic pull of manipulation and remain anchored in our values. 4. Controlling behavior. Perhaps the most blatant indication of a malevolent nature is a pattern of controlling behavior. This extends far beyond personal preferences or quirks. It's a calculated effort to dominate your decisions, your time, and your life. What may masquerade as care or concern is often a guise for control and power. For the Stoics, who prized autonomy and mastery over the self, such behavior is fundamentally opposed to a virtuous existence. Control can show up in subtle ways. Maybe you have a friend who always decides where you go and what you do together. Initially, this might seem harmless, even convenient, but over time it becomes clear that your opinions are habitually dismissed. They might insist, "Trust me, I know what's best for us," or "You'll enjoy it more my way." This isn't collaboration, it's quiet domination. In romantic relationships, control can turn dangerous. A partner may demand to know your whereabouts at all times, expect constant check-ins, and dictate who you're allowed to see. They might go through your phone, read your messages, or insist on having access to your passwords. Living under such scrutiny can make you feel suffocated and perpetually anxious, tiptoeing to avoid conflict. Epictetus taught that true freedom lies in our ability to govern ourselves, not in surrendering to another's rule. When someone seeks to take away your agency, they're not protecting you, they're imprisoning you. Financial control is another weapon used by controlling individuals. They may insist on managing all financial matters, leaving you dependent and disempowered. "You're not good with money," they might say, or "It's just easier if I handle it." But beneath this veneer of practicality lies a desire to restrict your independence and ensure compliance. The Stoic path calls us toward self-sufficiency, resilience, and integrity. Being controlled contradicts these virtues. To live in alignment with Stoic wisdom is to reclaim your autonomy, set healthy boundaries, and resist the subtle encroachments on your freedom. This can rob you of your financial autonomy, making it challenging to exit the relationship or assert your own decisions. The Stoics championed self-reliance and prudent stewardship of one's resources, regarding financial domination as a subtle form of enslavement, something to be vigilantly opposed. Another hallmark of controlling behavior is social isolation. Such individuals often attempt to sever your ties with friends and family, insisting they're the only ones who truly understand or care for you. They may disparage your loved ones with claims like, "Your friends don't really support you," or "Your family is toxic." Gradually, you may find yourself increasingly cut off, depending solely on the controlling figure for emotional connection and companionship. The Stoics deeply valued community and nourishing relationships, understanding that isolation stifles both personal development and emotional health. Controlling personalities frequently resort to threats and intimidation to preserve their dominance. They may threaten to abandon you, harm themselves, or even inflict harm on you if you resist their will. This breeds an atmosphere of dread and unease, clouding your judgment and hindering your ability to act in your own best interest. Stoic thinkers, especially Seneca, taught the importance of confronting our fears and not surrendering to coercion or intimidation. Genuine courage and wisdom are found in standing firm in the face of such tactics and reclaiming one's rightful agency. It's crucial to recognize that controlling behavior isn't merely about preferences or routines. It's about systematically dismantling your capacity for independent decision-making and personal freedom. The Stoics would urge us to identify such behavior for what it truly is: a direct assault on our autonomy and an infringement upon our liberty. By staying anchored in our core values and cultivating inner resilience, we can defy the grip of manipulative individuals and reclaim the freedom to live on our own terms. If you find yourself entangled with someone exhibiting these patterns, it becomes essential to establish clear boundaries and reassert your independence. Express your needs and limitations openly, and don't hesitate to seek help from those who genuinely support you. Remember, Stoic philosophy teaches that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can govern our own responses and choices. By remaining steadfast in our principles and honoring our autonomy, we shield ourselves from the damaging effects of manipulation and move closer to a life of authenticity and fulfillment. 5. Pathological lying. A glaring indicator of a malevolent character is habitual lying. This isn't about the occasional fib that most people indulge in. Pathological liars lie compulsively, often without any clear purpose. They invent narratives, twist facts, and fabricate realities, all to serve their own agendas or to gain the upper hand over others. Such behavior wreaks havoc in relationships, corroding trust and entangling everyone in a maze of deception that becomes nearly impossible to navigate. For the Stoics, truth and integrity were foundational virtues. They held that a life of virtue must be rooted in honesty, and that deception constitutes a profound betrayal of character. Marcus Aurelius urged us to live in harmony with nature, which he equated with living truthfully and rationally. When someone lies pathologically, they act in stark defiance of these ideals, creating an illusory world that benefits only themselves. This kind of lying can manifest in numerous ways. It may begin with minor, seemingly innocent exaggerations, embellishing stories to appear more impressive or appealing. Over time, the lies escalate, concealing errors, manipulating perceptions, or exploiting others to meet selfish goals. A pathological liar might invent achievements, claim credit for others' efforts, or fabricate histories to garner sympathy or admiration. Such relentless deceit distorts reality to the point where it's nearly impossible to discern truth from fiction. In the workplace, a pathological liar might exaggerate their qualifications, inflate their contributions, or spread falsehoods about colleagues to undermine them. This can poison the environment, creating a culture of suspicion where trust becomes a rare commodity. The Stoics would counsel us to uphold our own integrity, regardless of the dishonesty that surrounds us. Epictetus reminded us to focus solely on what lies within our control: our thoughts, our words, our actions. and not be unsettled by the duplicity of others. In personal relationships, pathological lying can be even more devastating. Imagine being partnered with someone who habitually lies about their whereabouts, their past, or their emotions. Such behavior fosters insecurity, anxiety, and a gnawing doubt in your own perceptions. You begin to question your memory, second-guess your instincts, exactly what the liar intends. Their aim is to destabilize you, to keep you uncertain and easier to control. The Stoics would encourage you to trust your reason and not allow another's manipulations to cloud your clarity. Seneca emphasized that genuine tranquility comes from within, and that the lies of others should not disturb our inner peace. One of the most insidious traits of pathological lying is how convincingly it's performed. These individuals are often smooth and persuasive, blending lies with fragments of truth, making detection all the more difficult. This is where the Stoic principle of vigilance becomes essential. We must remain alert, questioning, and discerning, looking beyond appearances and seeking the truth through thoughtful analysis and evidence. When you uncover a lie, observe their response. Do they lash out, shift blame, or deflect attention? Or do they offer a seemingly reasonable explanation that adds yet another layer of deception? A sincere individual owns their mistakes and strives for correction, whereas a pathological liar will escalate their falsehoods, constructing a deeper illusion. The Stoics would advise us to stay composed and analytical when confronted with such behavior, acknowledging it for what it is without being emotionally swayed. Consider also the long-term cost of persistent dishonesty. It dismantles the bedrock of any meaningful connection: trust. Once broken, trust is notoriously hard to rebuild. You may find yourself consumed by doubt, constantly scanning for signs of deceit. This creates a toxic cycle of mistrust and emotional exhaustion. The Stoics believed in nurturing relationships grounded in honesty, respect, and mutual understanding. When confronted with a pathological liar, you must weigh whether rebuilding trust is feasible, or whether distancing yourself is the wiser course. If you're caught in the web of such a person, it is vital to set firm boundaries and safeguard your emotional and mental health. The Stoics would implore us to stay aligned with our own values and moral compass, never allowing ourselves to be pulled into a vortex of deceit. Be unwavering in what you will and will not accept, and don't hesitate to remove yourself from environments steeped in dishonesty. Remember, your peace of mind and personal integrity are worth far more than maintaining a bond with someone who habitually betrays the truth. How can you shield yourself from toxic behaviors without sacrificing your peace and integrity? One of the most vital skills you can cultivate when dealing with challenging or harmful individuals is setting boundaries. Boundaries are about determining what you will and will not tolerate in your relationships, and they are crucial for safeguarding your mental, emotional, and even physical health. The Stoics, who stressed the importance of personal integrity and inner peace, would regard boundary setting as an essential practice for maintaining a virtuous and calm life. First and foremost, it's crucial to understand that setting boundaries isn't about being harsh or unkind. It's about honoring yourself and ensuring that others do the same. The Stoics believed in the value of self-respect and living in harmony with our true nature. By establishing clear boundaries, you're not only shielding yourself, but also fostering healthier relationships with others. When it comes to setting boundaries, clarity is key. You need to be precise about the behaviors you won't accept and communicate this in a direct and confident manner. For example, if a friend frequently belittles you, you might say, I value our friendship, but I cannot tolerate being spoken to disrespectfully. If this continues, I will need to distance myself. This approach is straightforward and leaves little room for confusion. According to Stoic teachings, clear communication helps preserve order and respect in interactions. Consistency is another vital aspect of boundary setting. It's not enough to merely state your boundaries once and expect others to adhere to them without reminders. You must uphold your boundaries consistently, even when it feels uncomfortable or challenging. The Stoics, especially Epictetus, emphasized discipline and perseverance. By consistently enforcing your boundaries, you demonstrate self-respect and teach others how to treat you. If someone repeatedly oversteps your boundaries, it's a sign that they do not value your limits, and it may be necessary to reassess the relationship. It's also essential to remember that setting boundaries is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. As relationships evolve, so too may your boundaries. For example, in a work setting, you may need to define limits regarding your availability or workload to avoid burnout. You might say to a colleague, "I'm happy to assist with this project, but I cannot take on more tasks beyond my current workload." The Stoics would advise us to find balance in our duties and avoid overextending ourselves to the point of harm. One of the most difficult aspects of boundary setting is facing the resistance that may arise. Those accustomed to having their way, particularly individuals with controlling or manipulative tendencies, might not take kindly to your assertiveness. They may respond with anger, guilt-tripping, or even attempts to undermine your confidence. The Stoics encourage us to remain calm and steadfast in the face of such opposition. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the importance of maintaining composure and not being swayed by the negative emotions of others. When resistance arises, remain firm and remind yourself that your boundaries are vital for your well-being. Sometimes, setting boundaries may require making hard decisions, such as distancing yourself from certain individuals or even severing relationships that are harmful or toxic. While this can be a painful process, it's crucial for preserving your mental and emotional health. The Stoics remind us that our primary responsibility is to our own virtue and well-being. Seneca often highlighted the importance of choosing our associations carefully, recognizing that the company we keep can profoundly affect our character and happiness. By distancing yourself from those who regularly disregard your boundaries, you're making a powerful statement about your self-worth and commitment to living a virtuous life. It can also be helpful to seek support from others as you navigate boundary setting. This might involve talking to trusted friends, family members, or even a therapist to gain perspective and encouragement. Sharing your struggles and successes in setting boundaries can provide valuable insights and strengthen your resolve. The Stoics valued community and the support of like-minded individuals. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the interconnectedness of humanity and the importance of mutual support. By leaning on your support system, you can find the strength to uphold your boundaries and safeguard your well-being. Furthermore, practicing self-care is essential when setting and maintaining boundaries. This includes carving out time for yourself, engaging in activities that bring you joy and relaxation, and nurturing both your physical and mental health. The Stoics understood that self-care is the foundation of a virtuous life. Epictetus, for instance, emphasized the importance of caring for our own well-being so that we can serve others and fulfill our responsibilities effectively. By prioritizing self-care, you're reinforcing the message that your well-being is valuable and worth protecting. Remember, setting boundaries is a form of self-respect and self-love. It's about recognizing your inherent worth and refusing to let others diminish it. The Stoics teach us that our value is not determined by external factors, but by our actions and integrity. By setting and maintaining boundaries, you align with these principles and cultivate a life of peace, virtue, and resilience. Your peace and integrity are worth protecting, regardless of who attempts to undermine them. Setting boundaries is not merely a defensive measure, but a declaration of your self-worth and commitment to living a virtuous life. Thank you for joining me today and being part of Inner Compass. If you found this helpful, be sure to check out one of the suggested videos on the screen for more insights. Stay strong, stay wise, and continue living your truth.